Morning, everybody. I hope you are all well this morning and welcome and thank you for attending the session today. Is there a seat at the table? I am absolutely looking forward to engaging with everybody, having discussions, breakout rooms. There's going to be quite a lot to do. So just to get started, just to remind everybody that this session is recorded. And if you do not want to be recorded, feel free to turn your cameras off. But it's completely up to you and your choice. I love to see everybody's faces and engage, but it is definitely up to you. But just to let you know, this session is being recorded. Oh, so welcome. I hope everybody's good. Been enjoying Involvement Week. There's been a lot going on. Today is Inclusion Day, and I'm so happy to be starting off this morning. I've already embarrassed myself for those of you who haven't been here yet, so I'm only thinking it could get better today. Megan and Lisa will be supporting me today because, as I said, this is a very interactive session. I want people talking, I want people engaging. So I am looking forward to seeing what you have to say, what's going on within your organizations, what we can discuss, what we can do moving forward. So also I wanted to add as well for some of you, there's a show captions at the bottom. It's got the CCs on it for those who want to use subtitles. You can also change it to your specific language or change the language if you want to as well. So there's that function at the bottom of the screen in the box if you would like to do that too. So everybody is as engaged and involved as possible. Okay, so I'm going to get started and share my screen, which I have just done before, so I know it works. Okay. Can you all see that?
I can.
Yeah, I don't really want to put it in like slideshow mode because you can see the ones at the side.
Yeah, the toolboxes are playing up a little bit. Okay, yeah, is that better?
Perfect.
Yeah. So just to introduce myself, hopefully many of you know me already or have read the report as well. Is there a seat at the table? Ethnic minority voices in tenant engagement. It's definitely a tool on inclusivity and engagement for everybody. So I am a social housing tenant. All those little letters behind my name means that I have a psychology and counseling degree, which is accredited by the British Psychological Society. I am chair of my scrutiny panel for Black Country Housing Group. I've recently started working for TPAS full time, which is why we tell embarrassing stories behind the scenes. So I've started as a special membership project lead. So mainly I'll be doing more work around this space on inclusion and engagement within TPAS. So all of these other things and other roles that I do within the social housing space as well. So very much around tenant engagement, inclusion, having tenants' voices heard at different levels within the sector and within their organization. So that's something I absolutely love doing and will continue to do to echo residents' voice within the sector. And before this, I used to work as a senior healthcare assistant with the NHS and in private healthcare as well. So you can say that making sure that people have their voice is always kind of been at the forefront of everything that I've done, because I've worked with people who have been nonverbal or have difficulty communicating. So it's always kind of been a passion for me. And the most important reason why I am here today and talking about inclusion is because I authored the report, Is There a Seat at the Table? Ethnic Minority Voices in Tenant Engagement. So if you haven't seen it, this is the report. I'm absolutely in love with it. Additionally, one of my panel members is on the front cover of it, which she was very chuffed about. She didn't realize, clearly you could see by her pose. So it was really nice to have her on there. And if you would like to download the report, you can see on the TPAS website or for the UK Centre for Housing Evidence. So just to get started on the first poll, we're using Mentimeter this morning. Hopefully you could get your phones out to take down the QR code. So I'm doing it a little bit different this morning. So yeah, as I said, it's going to be very interactive. So Megan, could we have the first Mentimeter, please?
I think you'll need to stop sharing, Kai, and then Megan. Oh, yeah, brilliant, cool.
Okay. Yes, so how many of you are TPAS members at the moment? Some enthusiastic thumbs up as well, which is brilliant. If you are unable to access the Mentimeter, please do put it in the chat as well. Okay. So there's a lot of you in this session that are TPAS members, which is brilliant and wonderful. So this will be a bit more apparent on why I've asked this question a little bit later on, as there are a lot of new programs and offers that are being made, and hopefully as TPAS members you'll be able to get them for free. If not, then hopefully you will join TPAS. So I'm not trying to sell it to you all, but just to let you know that there are quite a number of things coming through as well. Okay, so I'm going to, can you stop sharing and then I will share my screen again. Thank you, Megan. Okay. Okie dokie. So the first thing that we did, from current position, the first thing that we did when doing this report was I was asked to look at about 25 organizations. I'm trying to get it up and it's not working. To look at 25 organizations to see. Can you see this at the moment though?
I can, yeah, it's fine. It's still got the slides at the side, but I can read it.
Yeah. Does it say resume slide when you click on current slide? There, resume slideshow just down and to your right slightly. Oh, it's gone.
Yes, I'm doing it, but it's not working at the moment.
Kai, if you close that top banner, the enable editing, and then probably do it then, I don't know if that would make any difference.
I've got the report in front of me. So I've got
and then yeah, it should be able to work now, hopefully.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
So the first thing I did was look at 25 organizations randomly selected by TPAS. So it did include housing associations and it included councils. And this was the statistics. So we was looking to see if there was 75% of ethnic minority representations in images. So it was under the scope of if you can see, then you can be. And it was important that people can see that they can engage or be part of their engagement structure. looking at the diversity of it and saying that we want you to engage, we want you to be a part of it, and also looking at the accessibility of engaging as well. So how long or how many clicks did it take to actually get to the points where you can engage and be part of your involvement structure? And how was the advertising for it as well? Was it at the first page, or did you have to go through quite a bit of research and work just to find it? I did find going through it myself that it was there was a lot of organizations that didn't make it very easy to sign up to engagements. There was a lot of clicking just to get through to the page where you can actually sign up for engagement. So that didn't make it very easy, especially if you're someone who is not very digitally minded, or somebody who has learning disabilities, or somebody whose English wasn't their first language as well. So in all sense of inclusivity, that did not make it easy. But and as you can tell by the data as well, there was a lot of organizations that either didn't have no imagery at all, or had very few images of diverse engagement on their pages. So we found that this was something very important to highlight as well. So obviously we say pictures are worth 1,000 words. So if you can't see inclusivity in your websites or in your engagement structures, I think that tells a lot about the welcoming factor of inclusion. So just to go back to the Mentimeter, as I said, there's going to be a lot of back and forth on this. So just to ask you if you are aware of your organization's web pages. Megan, could you put up the next one? And having a look at it as well, do you know how inclusive it is? So what is, does your tenant panel, oh, this is a different one, sorry. So first question, does your tenant panel reflect your tenant diversity within your organization? So we'll start off with that one. So how diverse is your tenant panel within your organization, and does it reflect the wider tenant voice? Very interesting results there. So it definitely shows that there's a lot more work that needs to be done, especially to make sure it's as inclusive as possible, because if we're not inclusive around our resident engagement spaces, how can we talk about service delivery, make sure it's as inclusive as possible for everybody involved, and make sure experiences and perspectives are listened to and reflected within the engagement space? So that's interesting. So the next question would also be as well, describe engagement in your organization in one word. You could also put it in the chat as well if you're unable to get onto the Mentimeter. Just to let you know that, you could put in, feel free to, there's no names or anything behind it. So feel free to just be as open and as honest and as transparent as possible. If things aren't working within your organization, or if you feel it's not as inclusive, then it's okay to say that, because this is why we want to talk about it and engage with each other. Listening, supportive participation, community. That's brilliant. This is what we want it to be as well. We want it to be challenging. We want to be able to scrutinize and engage. We want challenging. Hopefully that's in a positive way. Worthwhile, meaningful, transparent, sporadic, valuable, positive, unequal, needs work, enlightening, collaborative. Okay, brilliant. I think we've got a lot there. Choice. Okay, we've got a good amount there. So going back to barriers, no barriers, okay. Going back to my recent presentation slide on visual representation within your organization and on your websites as well. Hopefully some of you guys have looked at your website for your engagement and looking at how the representation is and how easy it is. The next question, please, Megan. So looking at your organization's tenant engagement pages, websites, materials and stuff, how visible is ethnic minority representation? Hopefully you all would have had a look. It's okay if you haven't had a look at your websites or the materials that are being sent out as well. That's just another thing that we could also work on within our organizations on the comms and everything that has been sent out and how inclusive it is. At all. Visibility. Okay, so number 2 seems to be a very strong leader in this. So hopefully now you kind of start to get a bit of an idea and a bit of thought process of where you are within your engagement space, within your organizations. Only newsletters I see sometimes highlighted. Yeah. For me, it's always about inclusivity. It's about visual representation as well. It's if you can see yourself in that engagement space, if you can't see yourself in that engagement space, it will be harder for you to want to be a part of engagement, to want to be a part of being around the table as well. Thank you, Megan. I'll just take this one down and I'll share my screen again. So, over half of organizations say that their tenant influencing structure isn't reflective of their overall population. So, looking at the sides, I don't know if my screen here, is this blocking it for everybody? There. So,
I can see it okay, Kai.
Yeah, brilliant. What I want people to kind of read as well is the comments on the side. So the comments on the side are from tenants directly. So within this report, I've not changed any wording or any quotes or anything from residents. So this is definitely their voices that have come through. And reasons people have said why it hasn't, they don't think it isn't reflective is underrepresented minority groups, barriers, struggling to engage, poor recruitment, poor quality of data, which is something that came up in the regulator session when he was talking about not enough organizations have enough data on their tenants' diversity and their diverse needs as well. So it's important to know that that's something that we need to look at and know who your tenants are, knowing how you can shape needs, knowing how you could target and tailor recruitment to people, and knowing how you can get involved. So both tenants and landlords have similar ideas to drive participation, which, going back to the previous slide, was on better advertising. That was something that came up strong for both tenants and landlords. More proactive engagement with ethnic minority groups. This could be going out into communities, engaging with diverse community centers and organizations, with religious groups as well, and actually going out to engage, seeing what they're doing, piggy banking on events as well, and also understanding their cultural needs and understanding and reaching tenants as well that you may not be able to normally access, who don't tend to come to your organization. But it's a way of not only just engaging with communities as well, but meeting tenants where they are and proactively doing that too, and building that community cohesion. So tenants don't always want to engage because they don't always feel that their landlords do what they say that they are going to do. It's a tick box approach. It's a tick box exercise. The gestures are superficial. It's powerless. You've already decided what you're going to do before you've actually brought residents into it. Residents feel ignored or dismissed. Their voices aren't heard. Their concerns aren't heard. Perception is selective in recruitment. One of the feedbacks that we got from the report is that residents intentionally recruit docile tenants who are more likely to just agree with what the organization is saying, providing very few challenges, and want to continue in the same way that they are within their organization and don't want much pushback or challenge. So we want to build trust, and it's important to know that even though we have had the Social Housing Regulation Act 2023, and the regulator has really pushed for residents to have a stronger voice in decision-making processes within the organization, a lot of residents still don't trust the organization. The trust has not just come from a couple of years ago. It's not come from Grenfell. It's not just come from other recent tragedies that have happened in the sector. It's come from decades and decades worth of poor communication, lip service, tick box exercises. And it's important that people, resident engagement officers working in the sector, understand that you're not just contending with your new position or your new role. You're contending with decades and decades worth of mistrust within the social housing sector. So it is a tough role. It is hard to do, but it's something that once we get to a place, and I've actually seen it myself, where you have tenants who are very skeptical, not trusting, very frustrated with their landlords, continue to work with them, engage with them, and you see the mannerisms and the approaches of those tenants start to change, and they do become a very strong ambassador and advocate for your organization, and very much a very good critical friend as well. So engagement is about building trust. And once you've had that trust and when you've gained that trust within your tenant base, I've found it works absolutely brilliantly. It's so effortless, it's so easy, and your organization does tend to thrive because you get that feedback. You get to have that targeted services, you get to tailor the services as well. So it works out a lot better for your organization, but it's not an easy road to get there. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of start to slip a little bit. So, moving on to the next slide. So some of the feedback that we've received through the report as well, almost all respondents, that's including staff and residents, 95%, expressed that their organization could do more to attract tenants from ethnic minority backgrounds in participating influencing structures. A lot of people did it. Well, because this was a anonymous survey that went out, I found that a lot of people were very open and honest about their opinions. There's a lot that couldn't be put into the report because of how people actually felt, which is kind of a good kind of meter on how the sector, some people in the sector, is not to paint everybody with the same brush, but you get to get a clearer picture of why some people from ethnic minority backgrounds may not want to engage with their landlords. So yeah, it made it a little bit more understandable, and seeing that sometimes staff aren't willing to engage, tenants didn't feel like they had a voice, staff felt like they couldn't engage with residents because they didn't want to offend or come across as, what's the word that was used? They didn't want to come across as not disgenuine. So they didn't want to come across as just wanting to get information. Those staff who really wanted to engage, really wanted to make a difference, didn't feel like they could do that. So it's important to give people the tools to engage. So I just want to go back to the Mentimeter. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And Megan, could you put up the next slide, please? So this one is in two parts. So I have one for residents and I have one for staff. So this first one is for staff members. So as a staff member, what is the biggest barrier in your organization for engaging with tenants from ethnic minority backgrounds? I think this is a big part where cultural competency training and confidence is important, giving staff the tools and the confidence to actually go out and engage with tenants from ethnic minority backgrounds is important. Lack of staff confidence, staff capacity, time restraints, language barriers. Okay, thank you. And the next one, please, Megan. Okay, as a tenant, what would make you more likely to participate in a tenant engagement activity? So you could also use the chat as well. That's very true, because nobody wants to, and you have to remember a lot of residents who participate in tenant engagement structures do it voluntarily. So you want to know that there's outcomes, you want to know that things are being done, you want to know that it's being engaging as well. You want to know that your time's not being wasted at the end of the day too. So it's about the outcomes, and we need to have like feasible outcomes as well. Compensation for seeing other people already involved. Well, okay. Just take this quick question from James before I continue.
Hi, Kai. Good morning. As I say, I've read this report and helped you with it with research, as you know, in regard to that. But what I was going to say is, the question here implies that you're looking for just, within the BAME community to answer this question. Tenants like myself who are already involved can say our housing association are doing everything to get engaged and to inviting yourself to come and speak, as you know. So I'd say tourists try to do everything they possibly can to engage with tenants from every background, including digital inclusion, and even to working with Fusion 21 in a partnership. They've now got 150 people trying to get from BAME backgrounds into work. So it's just a continuum with tourists as the Chief Operating Officer continually is trying to push the message of inclusion across the board. So it's just a little comment there. And through your report, of course, has had a great effect for myself personally. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I think the main thing of my report is the background of it is that when I became chair of my scrutiny panel and engaging and participating in different websites and events and things like that, it was looking at how many people that were there that didn't necessarily look like me. And it was at the time when we were going through the consultations of the Social Housing Regulation Act. And the importance was of having representation, having perspectives heard, having lived experiences heard. And for me, there was a demographic of people that wasn't having their experiences heard. But what I would say in all sense of inclusion is, if you see within your tenant engagement space where there is a demographic of people that aren't represented, that aren't around the table, I would ask your organization to then try and look and see why they're not there, why they're not engaging, what are the barriers, what we can actually do to make sure that we engage a lot more. So it's about, when I say everyone having a seat at the table, it's literally about everybody being in that room, being able to have a seat at the table, being welcomed to have a seat at the table and having a place for them. So it's all about inclusion at the end of the day. So it's just to kind of look at different things and different activities and how we can get more and more people engaged, more and more people welcomed to that engagement structures, and also thinking outside the box of different engagement activities as well. So some of the things that came up was potlucks as well. People wanted to have potlucks from their different cultural backgrounds brought to the office or a community center where people love food. I love food, so something that would bring people in to engage. Caritas mentioned yesterday about having the cinema experience, where the organization paid for a couple of people to go to the cinema and asking them questions and things before the movie started, which was a good way of engaging with them too. So also looking at community events and community spaces, so where you have community events, having a fair or having a Cultural Awareness Day or something like that. It's about reaching out to them and saying, can we hire a table or hire a space so we can actually not only learn about what you're doing and how you're engaging in the community and building that connection, but also you can then add that to what you're doing within your organization, within the cultural awareness spaces. You can get to speak to those leaders within the community as well. And you can also speak to a number of residents and non-residents to find out, you know, what their needs are as well, and how you, if they are non-residents, you can find out how their needs are, that you can then translate it into your own organization as well. So this is where the proactiveness of it really comes into place. And yeah, door knocking, these things are just simple things that a lot of residents really want, the visual representation of seeing their housing officers going out, engaging, talking to them. It doesn't necessarily have to be at a formal space or at a formal event. And I think this is where a lot of organizations have done it in the past. It's thinking, how can we just go out and speak to people? If you want to know more about your community, go to the local hairdresser. She knows everybody's business, or he knows everybody's business as a barber, or, you know, a hairstylist as well. Going towards those different people that live in the community and are engaging and talking to people every single day to find out antisocial behavior, to find out where the tippings are. It's all about building that cohesion, building that community engagement, and translating it over to how you can help and support your residents, going towards those spaces that may feel uncomfortable to begin with, but it's only going to be uncomfortable for a short period of time until you can build those connections. And all of these things can be translated to how you deliver services and tailor services within your organization as well. So going to bring you in quickly, Rob, and then I'm going to carry on to my next slide. Megan, you could stop sharing. Thank you.
Hi, Kai. So I'm watching this and I'm having flashbacks, because during the 90s, I was out in South Africa, whilst there were huge corporate projects trying to get engagement and trying to understand ethnicity as part of that process. And when I was looking at your report, I'm getting the same sense as I got then, is that for the white people in the room, there's actually a disconnect, because they're not quite understanding the level of the problem, because the norm is so ingrained that so what I experienced then and what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the engagement in my organization is that there's almost a misunderstanding about what the work is about, because the work is not about putting somebody else front and center, because it's about how can we create a community that is representative of who we are.
Yes.
So and it's just as I'm looking at this, I'm going, I have seen this when I've done work in the townships. I have seen this when I've worked in corporates.
Yeah.
But if you can't get people like me, so the slightly older white-faced people, who when they hear this, okay, so when we talk about an unconscious bias, it is not saying you are a bad person. It is saying that the systems in which we work have trained your brain to look at things in this way.
Yes.
And it's just, I was looking at this, I'm sorry, I'm taking up some of your time, but it was just, how do we get people? So I know I have my Kurdish family downstairs who I know. There's Somalian family on the second floor. I joke with the husband and wife because I can smell their cooking out the window, and I've been doing an Indian year to learn how to cook Indian food. So those sorts of connections are the ones that break down the barrier.
Definitely.
Sorry, but I don't mean to take up your time, but it was just as I was watching this, I'm going, I'm having these back in the 90s and trying to explain to somebody. And for those people who don't understand the importance, I worked with the Black Management Forum in Southern Africa. And there were all of these DEI programs and inclusion programs and whatever. And in a 10-year period, the amount of Black managers only went from 8 to 15% in a country where 90% of the population were people of color. So,
Yeah.
and I know color in this country, you're not allowed to, that word's not appropriate in here. In South Africa, it's the term to be used. Thank you.
No, thank you for your thoughts. And I completely, the process of this report, and which is what I want us to have these conversations. And I think it's important that we have these conversations and create safe spaces to have it. And it's not to demonize or to exclude anybody. It's to kind of, as you said, highlight these things, look at the ways of our thinking right now, and to engage and talk with each other. We're not going to get to a place of comfortability if we don't get through the discomfort. And this is where it's really important that we do have these conversations. So thank you, Rob. And you're still on my list as well as to contact too. So I know I told Megan to take down this one. I'm gonna be annoying. So could you put this next question back up, Megan, the one about trust? So, has your trust in your landlord increased through engagement? So all the years that you've engaged with your landlord, do you feel like things are changing? Do you feel like things are improving? Do you feel like you have a voice? Do you feel like it's making it? Are you trusting your landlord more when they say things to you? So if they say, we're looking into something, we're looking into the policy, do you think to yourself, yes, they're actually doing that? When they say that they're doing work and stuff, do you think to yourself, yes, they are actually changing? And do you find that this is through engagement with them, learning about them, getting to know them more? Because trust is a thing that we talk about a lot within the sector, and something that is very important for those who are in the engagement space and those who are working in the engagement space. It should be something important for everybody in the sector as a whole. So has your trust in your landlord increased through engagement? Mixed feelings, Alicia. So you're on the fence then? So please do put it in the chat as well. And please do talk about these different things that we are going through in the chat as well. If anybody wants to ask questions, that, you know, we are a balance of residents and tenants and staff members as well. So please do feel free to ask what people are doing within their respective organizations that may be able to help you too. Yes, definitely doing their best. Okay. All right, I'm going to just, thank you, Megan. I'm going to finish up the, going to finish up my slide presentation so we can go to a quick breakout room. So the key findings from the report was we need to do better at targeted communication and outreach, building trust and respect, addressing systemic barriers, enhancing staff competency, strengthening data systems, allocating resources and funding, community-led initiatives, which we've kind of all touched on. So it came with the conception of the table principles, which is something that the ministry asked me if I can put together a set of principles that the sector can use for engagement, something that smaller organizations all the way up to larger organizations can use as a kind of guideline for engagement. And also something based on their resources and their financial restraints as well. So it costs nothing to listen to people, to bring them into conversations, to actively engage. Tailored training, and it's tailored training because it is more based around your financial needs and your resources on what your organization can do. And I made sure I kept E as ethnic minorities because I wanted to make sure we address that people from ethnic minority backgrounds do have barriers and issues within engagement all of their own as well. So I didn't want that to get lost in translation based on meetings and conversations that I had in conception of this report. So how can it be measured? So the table principles can support in building trust with tenants from ethnic minority backgrounds, building community cohesion, positively impact a culture of inclusion within your organization, support personal development of staff, better tailor the use of resources and finance, and supporting recruitment of people from ethnic minority backgrounds for formal and informal engagement. The principles can be implemented not only in EDI planning, but in overall corporate planning, as the table principles would look at financial planning of services provided, training offered, and building local resourcing. It will also look at community collaborations and the governance structure, as it may evidence a gap in tenant inclusion and lived experience assurance to be provided to the board and the regulatory compliance. So it's strategic strengths as well. Where you see the strategic importance is higher is because it's more rigid. Where you see that it's medium, this is more based on behavioral side. So improving confidence in staff cannot fully be measured. Looking at budgeting and finances, once again, that's something that varies from organization to organization, and also measuring sector-wide influences as well. This is something that is more behavioral, and from person to person, it will vary. So the personal impact of residents from ethnic minority backgrounds or residents from diverse backgrounds not having their voices heard, feel isolated, depressed, feel like they're going crazy because nobody's listening, nobody's understanding their situation. They may feel stupid in the way that they are communicating something and the way it's relayed back from their housing provider. They may feel fearful of losing their home because they've come forward or they've said something. They may feel lost, or who will understand. They don't know where to go, which organization to contact, the processes that they need to go through. And unfortunately, there were people who came back that said that they felt suicidal, which is something that we never want to hear from. That is happening in the sector, sorry. So we can't forget that people and lives are affected and traumatized by not having their voices and perspectives heard and valued. Listening without effective action is just lip service. So I think the next thing we're going to do is do a quick breakout room here. I'm going to stop sharing this. So if Lisa would like to set up the breakout rooms.
Yeah, Kai, a little message should come on everybody's screen to say to join. And I've put the questions in everybody's chat, so you should be able to see the questions to talk about in the chat.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Progress. That was really good, Kai. I really enjoyed that.
I've been like jumping from room to room, listening to like little snapshots of what everybody's talking about and the range of conversations. This is exactly what I wanted. It's like, really I'm so happy to hear the conversations and what people are doing and the outside of the box thinking. It's absolutely, compared to like when I started this journey like 2 years ago and where we are now in conversations, is absolutely brilliant and mind-blowing.
It's good because it makes such a massive difference. I was saying in our little group then, to be a tenant, to be part of Onward and not just feel like I rent a house from them. It feels like I'm actually part of them and they care about me as a tenant. And that's really important to me. It's really good. And I've been a tenant now for almost 30 years. And I absolutely adore my home, and I adore Onward. I think they're brilliant. So it's good to feel that way.
And I want everybody to feel the way that you do, Amanda. I really do. And that's the goal, for everybody to feel comfortable in their homes, for everybody to feel like they have a voice and part of their community as well. So yeah, that's
definitely.
absolutely brilliant.
Thank you so much as well, Amanda. I've just joined the main room again. Hi, June. Just joined the main room again to hear that about Onward and Onward. Honestly, I feel a bit like choked up. It's really nice to hear.
Yeah, what I was saying on our one as well.
I didn't, but we'll catch up, won't we, at 12?
Yeah.
So, thanks, Kai.
We're going to have some feedback from people now. So I'm just waiting on everyone to come in. So if you just hold fire with me a bit, Rob and James.
Sorry, Kai, I've got to go.
Everyone to come through. So just give me a minute. Is that everybody through, Lisa?
Yes, the rooms have closed, so everyone's back.
Okay. All right, so I'll start with Rob because he had his hand up first, then I'll bring you in, James. So what we're going to do is just have some feedback from each rooms as well. So whoever wants to kind of give me some feedback on, where's Rob gone? You're on mute, Rob.
So
yes, please.
Yeah. So Kai, the thing that I'm taking away from this week, and it's something I've been sitting with for a little while, but I didn't have the words for it, is that all of this type of work that we're talking about, whether it be interaction with the regulators, with the ombudsman, whether work like yours, is that social housing should be the aspiration for people rather than the landlord of last resort.
Yes.
Because in the social housing sector, we have the much stricter regulation. We have this really clear pathway to having engagement between us as tenants and creating a community with our landlords. So I'm almost going away at the end of this week going, that should be that's what we should be looking for. Social housing should be our aspiration.
Yeah.
Now, everybody out there who's fighting with in the private sector be going, no, what we need is more social housing.
I'm sure the team from TPAS would absolutely love to have that as a quote. So yeah, that would be really.
That's what I was thinking. We need to use that quote. I think we'll be using that, Rob. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you. James?
Yeah, I'm just saying I've got to go off to the CIH webinar now with Eddie Hughes. So sorry I have to leave. Thanks, it's brilliant. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, James.
Bye. Bye. Sorry.
Bye. So does anybody want to, from different breakout rooms, want to summarize what they have spoke about in their individual rooms? Oh, Alicia.
Yeah, we had a lovely discussion. Generally, we want more opportunities, and we would like our landlords to give us more opportunities to experience other cultures and, to understand, because some of it is not understanding. Because we have this idea that everyone is the same, which and that has grown up by a lot of people trying to be kind. When it's ended up in some ways being discriminatory. We would like to actually have more, like to have a bit of a calendar and actually have, to be able to experience more different things. And I pointed out, because Kai, as you know, we've sort of spoken quite a lot for years now. And I said to the rest of the group, one of the things I learned from you, I had issues with a neighbour who was very, very noisy. Drove me crazy because I wanted to live in peace, and he was Afro-Caribbean, and so for him a good time was having loads of family around, making lots of noise, which was absolutely the opposite of what I wanted. Now, it's only because I read the stuff that you've been talking about, I thought, hang on a minute. Yes, I want peace and quiet, and I'm sort of this old white woman who just wants to live in my own little world. But that's not the reality. And it's only by us talking to each other that we understand the fact he was noisy. He wasn't doing it to annoy me. It's just the way he was, you know. And by if we talk to people more and understand those differences, then we all might be able to come to compromises about how we live. And that's what we were talking about. We all generally in our group, we want to have more experiences.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Alicia.
Can I jump in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, our Onward Homes, our landlord, we do the different groups, we do the different cultures. We've just been out on a visit to a local mosque, to have a look around and get a tour around there to see how they live and they pray. That was absolutely mind-blowing. So it's not just about being in a group and sitting down and just listening to what people are saying. We go out, we have walkabouts, the groups come out and walk about around with the tenants, see if there's any problems, anything that they can help with. We get invited to Pride, and we can go with Onward to support Pride, and getting out there and doing things for all different types of people, with all different types of people is a brilliant part of the group as well. We discussed getting more people into the groups, which is obviously something that's extremely hard, because you can't make people give their time up to come and sit and listen. But I think once, again, Onward do massively. They email, they will ring, they'll write, they go on WhatsApp. They try their best to get lots of people in the groups, and the groups that I'm in are really good. And there's a good diverse of people in all the different sectors of groups that I do. And it's just really good to be in. And I think the more people that come in and realise that they can be part of Onward and not just a tenant of Onward, the more people in, the better it'll be.
Brilliant. Thank you. Would anybody else want to give some feedback? Oh, yeah, some more. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I think within our group, it was a really quite informative discussion, some really great ideas. I think one of the things that kept on coming up is being more sort of visible within the community. So particularly what Alicia was talking about in terms of, you know, going to the churches and mosques, and you know, potentially even engaging with younger demographics, which I think has been seen to be a challenge. So, you know, sort of collaborating with schools and going to community centres and things like that to improve at least engaging with that demographic. So that's something that I think the group felt would be quite useful. And for me, I think I just pushed the whole idea of how we're engaging internally to improve outcomes and how we're engaging with our tenants. And so it's just being aware of what other parts of the service are doing, so that we can say, oh, you know, if you're doing that, we would like to come, we would like to join, and show that sort of collaboration. And that helps tenants, it builds trust, it helps tenants to feel that, oh, okay, they're all in this together, we are all in this together. It's really creating that narrative that it's not what we are doing for you, it's what we're doing together, collaboratively. So that whole co-design of things.
Brilliant, thank you. David?
Yeah, just a few things that we discussed. I mean, firstly, we were talking about capacity in respect of, you know, even though resident involvement, was always a nice to have, and now it's more in law because of what happened with Grenfell and so on. There doesn't seem to be, it hasn't impacted the amount of staff that we get, you know, and I think there should be more staff actively involved in this. You know, I was saying that I work for a really forward-thinking organisation. I work for South Cambridgeshire Council, but we are 130 villages, poor transport links, and I manage a team of 2.
Yeah.
And you know, it's hard to get around, you know. And then we discussed about how people only really come to you when there's a problem. So often they come into you from a negative perspective. But as I said, I'm not talking about my organisation here. When I've worked in other areas and things like that, I think this is really important what you're doing here, because it needs to be a 365 day a year thing, and not just October when it's Black History Month. You know, and yeah, there is a lot of, I've found tokenism in, you know, or a knee-jerk reaction to some sort of civil unrest. For example, George Floyd. You know, we were asked at another organisation to go out and, you know, sort of do a bit of reassurance with the Black community, and it was not well received. And I was expecting it to be not well received, because it was a knee-jerk reaction to a situation that happened in another country, and why weren't we doing this every other day of the year?
Yeah.
So that's what we discussed.
That's really good and insightful. And then I definitely get that and see that. So thank you. Thank you. Kirsten?
Yeah, we kind of had similar conversations that David just mentioned, because we had people from the southeast and very rural communities, and they were saying that because of the small percentage of the population in rural communities and the distances, in some communities they might just have like 2 properties or something like that. And whereas in towns there was quite a lot of good work going on, but in the rural communities it's really, really tricky. And we then talked about how like, for instance, the housing associations or the council or whatever could suggest things to people like that already exist in their rural communities, that are voluntarily organized by the community, that perhaps they could suggest that, you know, and perhaps somebody could go with them for the first time or whatever to the community hall, or so that it doesn't actually have to be the council or the housing association that organizes this, but it's just that, like, for instance, I think it was June, who her housing association ages ago suggested to her that she join this radical theatre group, and that has been hugely successful and totally changed her life, and she's been a member of that for like decades or so, whatever. And so again, that was an external initiative, and you know, and I think this business of 365 days is exactly what I feel is missing, is making this mainstream, rather than it's still considered like an add-on to, oh, hold on, yeah, oh, right, who's dealing with the minority ethnic people? I mean, that's what I mean. It's not part of the mainstream. And I think we have to try and get there. It's a question of mindset, really. It's an attitude thing that has to start, that, you know, and then everything else should follow.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. And Rob, I shall finish with you.
Yes, sorry, Kai, I've been all over your presentation. Sorry, but I just wanted to to all the people who are running the different organizations. Something I used to tell my students when I was doing work in business schools is a report like yours describes the context where we are now. It cannot describe the individual experience of any one person, because it generalizes from all of the stuff you've taken in. So each of the organizations need to be able to just take that and see what they can do, rather than think of it as another checklist and another thing that they're going to be imposed upon them. Here is a way of understanding where we found ourselves. Now it's your role to go out and listen to the voices of your tenants and your communities to decide how you move it forward.
I could not agree with you anymore if I tried, Rob. Thank you for that summary. It's absolutely what I was going for. So when I put it, obviously there's a history and like leading up to kind of where we are now, what people are thinking, and obviously there's things in there that you can do as quick wins and things that you could do as obviously a longer planning for you to do. And there's no, you need to do it this way or that way. Obviously, every organization, different resources, different time, different sizes, different geographical location is going to be different. But the most important thing is to start having those conversations, start listening, start engaging, and most importantly, start thinking outside of the box as well. So as we are wrapping up a brilliant session, which has been so engaging and I couldn't be any happier and pleased with, I just want to let you know a little bit about the next steps for TPAS and what we're doing. When I asked earlier, how much of you are TPAS members or non-members, we are actually rolling out the Seat at the Table program a little bit wider. We will be putting a landing page on the website very soon, so you can do a DIY self-assessment with your organization on where you are with your landlord in regards to the table principles and inclusion within your organization. We are also offering a deeper dive audit as well. We're looking for case studies. I know a lot of you have said a lot of brilliant things about what's happening in your organization. So case studies, the template will be on there as well on what we're looking for, so we can share best practices so people can see more of what's going on within the sector and have that sector learning as well. So that will be there too. We're also rolling out a series of programs with one of our associates, Tegan. I think the first one, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, is on the 12th of December. And is that the first one? I think Louise is, you're on mute, Lisa.
Yeah, the 12th of December, is that the cultural awareness in housing?
Yes.
So there's two of those, the 12th of December and then the 23rd of January.
Yeah, so we're having a series of programs going out around this. So please do, this is all free as part of your membership as well. So look out for that page, which is coming soon. And we're also looking for inclusion champions as well that we can work with as well. We're scoping that at the moment. There's a lot of work and a lot of ideas going into that. So we will hopefully be reaching out to and advertising for people to get more and more engaged and involved in all of these things that are happening. We are having the conversations. We are getting to a place of more comfortability around these conversations. We need to engage more, show people what we're doing so we can learn and that we can move forward and make sure everybody, and I do mean everybody, has a seat at the table. So thank you once again. This is my session on Involvement Week, on Inclusion Day. We have another session coming later. Is it 1:30? Just to make sure, get it right.
You're really testing me now, Kai, aren't you? I think it's keeping me on my toes. 2 till 3 with Stonewall Housing, looking at the LGBTQ+ pledge.
So please tune into that session because it's absolutely brilliant. And thank you all and have a brilliant day. And please do keep engaging. My email will be on there. Lisa loves to do a lot of work, so please bombard her with a lot of emails and stuff because we really want to get people engaged, involved, and we really need to move this dial. So thank you all once again and have a wonderful day.